Hello and welcome to the Analog Leftie. My name is Elise. On September 13, I attended an urban sketching workshop hosted by the Artists Emporium here in Winnipeg. I've been dabbling with urban sketching here and there, with dabbling being the operative word, because I've never really tried drawing outdoors. And I've been wanting to try it out for a while now, and luckily enough, I found that the Artists Emporium was hosting the workshop, and there were only 4 spots left out of 100, so I just grabbed the tickets right away. I felt like it was meant to be. The event was held primarily at Art Space in the Exchange District, and I felt like the Exchange District was the best place to do urban sketching, especially because of how charming and scenic the environment and the buildings look. And I got there just a little before noon because the workshop starts at noon. It was a beautiful sunny day, the wind was blowing through the trees, the leaves were starting to change colors from greens to yellows to oranges and browns, and it just felt like the perfect day to be drawing outside. The first part of the workshop was an introduction to our teacher and the guest artist, Felix Scheinberger. He's a German artist, illustrator, and author of books on drawing, sketching, and watercoloring. He is a professor of drawing and illustration at the University of Applied Sciences in Münster and a leader of bringing the urban sketching movement in Europe. If you look at his work, it's a style unique to his own character. It's very distinct, free, and loose. He talked about how, rather than capturing exact likeness, the most impactful or interesting sketches convey your perception or interpretation of your surroundings and what's going on around you. Very different with, say, photography, where your camera captures and replicates the exact likeness of something. Sketching can be influenced by how our brain and our eyes interprets what we see.
I want to listen to new ideas and aspects, and not just like something that looks like a photo. Because if I am there and I'm sitting at the place and draw something, I create some kind of relationship to the place.
I'm probably not the best person to explain that, but that's what he encouraged us to do in the workshop. To not be so restrained, to be free, to add movement and our own flavor to our work. After the intro, we went on a quick break to have some snacks and drinks and to peruse the goodies on sale. Felix's Canadian tour was sponsored by Hanemula, Stedler, Schminke, and Da Vinci Artist brushes, so there were lots of sketchbooks, pencils, brushes, and other drawing implements for sale, and we had a 30% off discount for attending the workshop. We also got some goodies for free, which I will show you in a bit, including the stuff I bought. After our break, we headed outside to the picnic tables near the Cube stage. Felix did a demo of his process for drawing people and buildings, and he used the gray tone markers that were included in the goodies that we got and a black fine liner. So he used the gray markers to quickly block out silhouettes very roughly and used the fine liners to add details. He does it very fast, especially blocking out the shapes and silhouettes, because when your subjects move as they do outside in real time, at least you now have a framework for your sketch. You can see how loosely he blocks out the shapes, and the outlines and details aren't even meant to be perfect. The gray underdrawing also adds some personality to it, even if it's not within the lines.
So you got what I mean, yeah? Just start with something very raw, abstract, yeah?
So light,
And even if he walked away, and of course he will walk away, yeah? I have something on my paper.
And after his demo, we broke off and started doing our own thing. Okay, so all workshop attendees got this amazing Hanamula echo bag, and inside was this limited edition nostalgie sketchbook with a cover designed by Felix. So Hanamula came from the word Hane, which is the name of one of their previous owners and is also the German word for rooster, which is why the rooster is part of their logo. And then we also got a pen loop. It's a springy one. And we also got a set of 6 pigment brush pens from Stedler in grays and caramels, which I absolutely loved because I could make something with just these at any given point. We also got this Stedler fine liner, and I got it in bright green. I actually brought my own tools, but very haphazardly because I wasn't sure of what I was doing. But when I saw the contents of the bag, I was like, this is perfect. I could make something out of all of these. So I ended up just using my own mechanical pencil and my Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen. On a normal day, I would have been like, I'm gonna save all of these tools for a special occasion or for the future. But I thought there is no better time than now. I also wanted to dive in head first and embrace the theme of the workshop. So I found a nice shady spot, unwrapped all of my new stuff, and started drawing. Okay, so during that time, there were some jazz musicians playing on the stage, and so I thought for my warm-up, why don't I try drawing the saxophonist? And I really didn't like how that looks. While I used the gray markers, I didn't really fully block in the silhouette. I kind of just randomly tried to do the outline. And you can clearly tell how unconfident the line work is. It's I don't know, it's very scratchy. And yeah, I abandoned that, and it's just a warm-up. So I tried to revisit drawing people later in the day. So I stopped drawing the musician and proceeded drawing the building in front of me, which is the Red River College Patterson Global Foods Institute building. So yeah, it really looked beautiful the way the sun was hitting it, and there were trees in the foreground, so I thought that would be a nice part of the composition. I didn't capture any footage of me sketching except for one small clip because I didn't really have proper filming gear, and I also just wanted to focus and be in the moment. But to talk about the process, I started by penciling in the basic structure of the building, making sure the perspectives were correct, especially because I'm viewing it from the ground up. And then I used the light warm gray brush pen to lay down the base structure and to add some values. And then I used this golden ochre to color in the brick facade of the building. And then I used the medium warm gray to add shadows because I was able to mix it with both the light warm gray and the golden ochre because they're both warm shades. I used the medium cool gray for the windows for some contrast and also the signage on the building. And I used my Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen to just add some line work and details for the windows. For the tree in the foreground, I started again by penciling in the branches just so I know the general structure and shape of it. And then I used umber, this brown, for the branches. And because the leaves were transitioning to fall colors, I had the golden ochre and sienna raw for the goldish orangey leaves. And then I used the green fine liner for the leaves that are still green, and you can see the scribbles here for the green leaves. And then I just added some accents and shadows using the Tombow brush pen. Yeah, so I was actually pretty happy with how this turned out. I think if I had some form of blue, it would have been nice to color in the sky a bit. And I guess I kind of want to extend the coloring on the building a bit, but overall I was pretty happy with how this turned out. And I actually felt really good while I was drawing. I was just in the zone. Something about it being a beautiful sunny day with the wind blowing and the leaves are falling and even the jazz music playing in the background. It felt very inspiring to draw outside. So while everyone was working on their sketches, Felix was going around talking to people individually to see if they have any questions or if they need advice or if they want him to make some sort of inscription on our sketchbooks. And I was one of those people. So when he came up to me, I asked him to draw a panda because he asked me what animal I wanted. And so I asked him to draw a panda. And he even drew this little bamboo shoot for the panda to eat. And so yeah, that's his signature and 2025. So it's the perfect remembrance for the day. And by the time that he got to me, I was kind of done with my sketch already. So I used my limited one-on-one time with him to ask for advice and be a little vulnerable. I told him how I was kind of nervous going into this because his style and what he wanted us to try that day was the total opposite of what I know. I do portraits and illustrations mostly, and for those styles, you try your best to capture the likeness of something or someone. So I think I never really developed the muscle of adding my own flavor to my work. It's quite restrained, and that's my biggest insecurity, not just in art, but also in life: perfectionism. But yeah, I actually got to show him some of my work, and he told me they were good. And he said that if you do portraiture, you do need to work within those standards, kind of, because you have to be exact, especially when you're trying to do something photorealistic. So he understands where I was coming from. On the other hand, urban sketching is the perfect type of work where you can add your own flavor and character to your drawings. And rather than just showing the surface level, it's a great avenue to show how I perceive the world. And when you think about it that way, art is so vulnerable, and it kind of exposes who you are inside. And yeah, it's just a very personal subject to me. Just hearing him say that I was good and that he liked my sketch was so encouraging. And he basically said to just keep practicing and not be too hard on myself, as many artists do. I feel like many artists face imposter syndrome. But yeah, he just said to keep going and keep practicing. And then he gave me some pointers on how I can improve my my saxophone, man. I don't know if he did this with other people, but he did spend some more time with me to demo how to draw people. So you can see here how he quickly blocked out the silhouette using the gray marker, and the line work isn't even smooth, but how does that look so cool? It's like this, you can see how confident the strokes are too, and they're not even straight lines, so it's just so awesome. Very inspiring. I did another quick sketch with people. Felix wanted us to capture something unique only to that moment and something that moves or has movement. And so I was looking for a subject, and I saw a couple of girls smoking across the street in front of a restaurant, and I tried to sketch them. So yeah, again, I started penciling in roughly the basic structure, and actually blocking the silhouette was really helpful because they left before I could finish sketching. But for this, I only used the two warm grays, and I used the darker one to emphasize the main subjects in the foreground, being the two girls. And yeah, so the background is the tree, the facade of the restaurant, the traffic lights, and all of that. But yeah, I actually found working with a limited palette and limited mediums or media really helpful, especially as a beginner, because I wasn't overwhelmed by needing to have a full setup or what colors to use, and it allowed me to have a simpler workflow and also kind of be creative with thinking of how I could achieve what I wanted to achieve based on the materials that I had. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out compared to my saxophone player attempt. At the end of all the sketching, we all gathered our work on the ground for everyone to see, and there were so many amazing pieces. Felix handpicked his favorites and commented on why they work, and also gave some tips to make them look even better. He talked about how even a simple text or your signature can improve the composition of your drawing, and he also talked about perspective and perception. He talked about drawing windows, which was probably the coolest and mind-blowing thing I learned that day. But basically, he said that when you're looking at a building, you don't see the whole thing in detail. Your eyes focus on one area. So when you draw windows, you don't need to draw each window in detail. So you can start with drawing one window, your main focus point, very detailed, and as you progress to the other windows, they start to get less detailed, like how they would kind of disappear into your periphery.
Focus on one window, yeah, I can't really see the others. And let me give you an example. I make another line here. This line from Windows. Maybe if I start with one, very precise. Like this. Huh? Can you see this? Very precise. Yeah? There's not need to repeat it completely. I could make the next one a bit more losing. Like this. And the next one I can just very, very loose because my focus is still here. No? So I just can make something like this, and then I can make something like this. You see?
Okay.
Can you see what I did?
Okay.
That just blew my mind because that's literally how our brain works, and it was very cool. And then after that, we had a presentation about his books on sketching and watercoloring, and his job as a book illustrator. And we also did a flip through of his travel sketchbooks, which is something that I aspire to have. It would be so cool if I can have my own travel sketchbook. And then we did a Q&A session, and then we took a group photo at the end, and that was the end of the workshop. And that was my urban sketching workshop experience with Felix Scheinberger and Artists Emporium. It will go down as one of the best days of my life, and I'm not even exaggerating. I'm also so glad that I have this channel now where I could look back on it very fondly. I was a little nervous going into it because I've never really sketched outdoors before. I thought I was gonna be very self-conscious, but being in a group was actually perfect because everyone was just focused on doing their own thing, that it felt like no one could perceive me. I just disappeared. A guy actually came up to me because he was curious of what everyone was doing, and it didn't feel intrusive at all. I was actually happy to talk art with someone, especially with someone who's interested. I hope that there's more workshops like this in the city because it was the most fun that I've had. And also, I think I'll try sketching art outdoors more now since I like going on walks when the weather is nice. You all know how cold it gets here in Winnipeg. But yeah, this video has gotten a bit long, so I'll show the things that I bought at the end if you're curious. And if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate your time and you for being here. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. So for my haul / other stuff, I got this 30% off coupon to spend at Artists Loft. And then this is the label of the water bottles that they were giving out to us. And this is actually printed on good quality photo paper, and the art is beautiful, so it's a great keepsake. And when you start journaling, you just learn to collect ephemera like that. And speaking of ephemera, they had a custom stamp made for the event, so I had the first page of my sketchbook stamped, and it's very cool. And then they were also giving away free samples of Hanamula paper, so I have here some brown toned and gray toned watercolor papers, and then this one is sketch paper made from bamboo fibers, and then this is gray toned sketch paper, And this is their 100% cotton watercolor paper. In terms of purchases, I bought another one of the same sketchbook that we got because they're only available currently through Felix's tour stops, the stops for his world tour, and in Europe. And I also got a pack of sketchbooks, pocket sketchbooks, that's gonna fit my September leather TN because it's field note size. And I got both of these for 30% off because we had a discount for attending the workshop. And then I crossed the street to Seduta Art, as one does when you're in the exchange, and I finally got the brown fountain pen ink that I wanted, and it is the Diamine Desert Burst. It's a beautiful golden brown and has a really nice flow, and the shading from brown to gold is Chef's Kiss. Perfect for autumn, and you all know how I love my earthy colors. And that's everything that I got.